I spent 10 years loving Ted. 10 years of laughter, late-night talks, and the kind of quiet companionship that makes a person believe they've found their home in another. If you had asked me back then, I would have told you he was my soulmate. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that love is fragile. Too fragile to survive secrets and betrayal. It started with something small. A strange smell in our bedroom. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Ted and I had just moved in with his best friend and older brother, Ash, while Ted finished school. It was supposed to be temporary, a way to save money before we relocated. But then the smell got worse, and soon it wasn't just a smell. My clothes, my shoes, my pillows, all soaked in urine. I confronted Ted. "Do you smell that?" I asked, wrinkling my nose. "Yeah." "It's weird," he admitted, sniffing the air. "It's been happening for weeks, Ted. My clothes keep getting wet with God. I don't even want to say it." "Maybe it's the cat?" I shook my head. "She's litter box trained. It's not her." Ted sighed. "I don't know, babe. Maybe you're imagining it?" Maybe I was. At least that's what I told myself. But then I started finding my belongings soaked, even when I made sure to lock them away. And the worst part, it was always my things, never Ted's, never anything in the shared spaces, just mine. One night, after finding yet another pair of shoes, drenched, I broke down. "Ted, this isn't normal," I cried. "Something is going on, and I need to know what it is." "I don't know what to tell you," he said helplessly. Ash, overhearing us, poked his head in. "Maybe your cat is marking her territory?" Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. I didn't believe it. So I bought a webcam. I set it up in the bedroom, aimed it at my things, and then I pressed play. There in the grainy footage was Ash, a grown man, standing in my room. Unzipping his pants and pissing on my stuff, I felt sick. My hands shook as I replayed the video, hoping I had imagined it. But no, it was real. That night, I packed my bags, grabbed my cat, walked out the door. And Ted? He barely reacted. For months, I avoided Ash. He was still at family gatherings, but I refused to acknowledge him. Then the pandemic hit. Ash lost his job, lost his home, and suddenly Ted was asking me if we could take him in. "You can't be serious," I whispered. "He has nowhere else to go. He peed on my stuff, Ted, for months." Ted sighed. "I know, but he's my brother." And then the calls started. Ted's mother, his other brothers, even his cousins. "It was years ago," they said. "He's changed. You're really going to let him be homeless over some petty grudge?" "Family forgives, sweetheart." I couldn't believe it. "Would you let someone who did that to you live in your house?" I shot back. Silence. "That's different," they said. "No," I said, voice shaking. "It's not." Ted went to check on Ash one day, hoping to help him get back on his feet. When Ash didn't answer the door, Ted used his spare key and stepped inside. What he found changed everything. The walls of Ash's bedroom were covered in photos. Of me, cut up, scratched out, defiled in ways I can't bring myself to describe. Ted called me, his voice shaking. "You need to see this." "I don't want to see it, Ted," I screamed. "I don't want anything to do with him." But it got worse. There were pictures of someone else. Ted's 14-year-old niece. Ted's brothers arrived within hours, fists swinging. The time it was over, Ash was in the ER, and me, I lost my marriage. Ted and I tried. We went to therapy. We promised to move past it. But the truth was, I could never unsee what I had seen. Ted's family had spent years enabling Ash, ignoring the signs. And Ted? Ted had let me suffer in silence for months. He had begged me to forgive Ash, even after everything. And even though I loved him, I knew I couldn't spend the rest of my life surrounded by people who thought forgiveness meant pretending. Something never happened. One night, Ted looked at me and said, "I don't deserve you." I smiled sadly. I know. And just like that, 10 years ended. Now I'm rebuilding. I have my own place, my own job, my own life. Some days are harder than others. There are still moments when I hear the sound of running water and my chest tightens with panic. But I'm learning. I'm healing. And for the first time in a long time, I feel free. As for Ash, I don't know where he is, and I don't want to. Some things are better left in the past. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. If there's one thing I want people to take away from this, it's this. You don't owe anyone forgiveness. You don't owe anyone a second chance if they've never earned it. And most importantly, you are not responsible for fixing someone else's brokenness. Thank you for watching. If you found this story shocking, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories. And let me know in the comments, what would you have done in my situation?